Hey, Brigham with Drift here. In this video, 6 things I think you should know about the Rome Ravine Select. So I've been interested in this board for a few years, but I've resisted it. I've always thought it was a little bit too narrow, but eventually my curiosity got the best of me. I grabbed it in the 166 for maximum width and length and stance width, and in short, I really like it. I'm glad I got on it. Probably my favorite Rome board. Before I get into the details, check out my specs and my biases below so you know where I'm coming from. We own the boards we talk about. We get them in a variety of conditions, most importantly in the powder, and then we let you know what we think. So the first thing you should know about the Ravine Select is that starting in 2025, this will be known as the Rome Ravine Pro. As far as I can tell, looking at their material for next year and talking to the reps, that's only a name change. I'm not really sure why, but they're just aligning every, upper level board into the Pro category and doing away with the Select label, but it's the same board. There is that lower tier version, the Ravine. I would love to try that. I think in a lot of cases that would be a great board for me, but I'm always a sucker for the higher end base, but I'd love to try that with the softer flex. This is known for being pretty stiff and aggressive. It is, but for me, and again, look at my reviews and the boards I usually am talking about, to me it wasn't crazy, but it definitely is on the stiff and aggressive side. Second thing I would share with you is that it has their Free the Ride camber, I think it's called, which is like a backseat camber, and then early rise rocker in the nose. There's not that much rocker on this board. This table actually is probably not big enough, I guess barely big enough to hold the camber section. There's a big camber section. It's not super deep. It's not the most aggressive camber, but it's pretty long. I'd say it comes out really to about where the 3D shaping starts, and then you get that early rise, which I'll talk about. Some of my other points are the pros and cons of that. But the main thing I would say about it is, despite there not being that much rocker compared to other boards with this sort of camber profile, backseat camber or whatever, has really, really impressive float for the amount of camber that it has. Now, I'm not saying that this compares to like a pure POW board, but for, free ride boards that are meant to be ridden in the POW and also do good on an edge, this one really impressed me. This 3D nose and just the overall shape of the nose and the taper. And I did set it back quite a bit. I just figured that's a board I'm going to set back. But I rode this on some really deep days. Really impressive float for what it is. On the other hand, in this 166, the third thing I would share, great in POW, but not the most nimble. Not your top pick for like a tree board. This thing likes to go fairly straight and fairly fast. So it's doable, but it's not super nimble. And I would attribute most of that actually not to the length, but to the fact that even though it is tapered, there's not a whole lot of taper, and you have a fair amount of tail with a decent amount of width and a camber profile that goes pretty deep into that tail. So in those trees, you're kind of pivoting off a contact point that's pretty far back there. Whereas with some other boards, you might be a lot closer to that back foot. So it's just not a very surfy feel. I don't mind that, but just so that you know, it's not going to be the pick for the trees. The fourth thing that's a benefit of that large camber section, this is phenomenal on edge, I would say. Up there with the best edging freeride boards that I've been on, and only really falling short compared to like dedicated carving boards. So it's not quite there with like a Karua, I would say, or like the Free Carver, but super impressive on edge. Better than a lot of all mountain boards that I've been on, and some of the freeride boards I've been on as well. It's fun to carve. And the fifth thing along with that, this thing was super stable at speed. It was probably one of the top 5 stable high-speed bombers that I've been on this year, up there near the Pantera, the Standard on Ink, the Aviator 2.0, like it handles. So for a board that does well on firm snow and in POW, it was really good. The flip side of that is it's a pretty lively ride. Probably wouldn't be my top pick for firm and nasty crud. If it's soft crud, it's great. I would say like the firmer it gets and the nastier it gets, this thing can get pretty bucky. I might give some of that to the flex level of this board, especially in the 166. I mean, I'm pushing, you know, the boundaries of that flex at my weight, and I'm okay with that. The last thing I would mention to watch out for, I mean, I ride an 11.5 or a 12 boot, depending on the brand. It is a little bit narrow, like at the waist, I think 26.2 in this size. But if you've got bigger feet than 12, that'd be something to watch out for. All in all, yeah, I mean, you've heard the reviews. They're generally very positive for this board. It is one of my favorite freeride boards that I've been on, especially for deep days, and then also for days where you just want to bomb on the groomers. This is a top pick for sure. That's the Rome Ravine Select. Hit me up below if you got any comments or questions. Thanks for watching and for sharing and for your support. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll keep bringing you as many videos as we can. Until next time.